10 Evergaols? 10 bosses. Beat every single one of them and use their rewards to beat Elden Ring. Pretty simple, right? However, there are gonna be some stuff that I use outside the Evergaol rewards, like Oran, because I don't wanna walk my way to Radagon, skills and stuff. In order to use certain spells, I have to use those things, but I can only pick one for each seals and staff for the entire game. Upgrading materials. Golden seed, sacred tear, smithing stones, glowwort, yeah, those kind of stuff, I'm allowed to use them. Honestly, I recorded this video on May, but just finished the whole thing a few days ago, so yeah, sorry for the wait. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe if you're into content like this. Alright, let's get into it. So I picked Wretch as my starting class after doing a little bit of research. Some prizes, skills on different attributes, and it will make my build very messy. Our first target is Darryl, the Bloodhound Knight. I don't have any weapon at start, but I used Blight's help after getting the emote from Kali. To see how strong Blight's supposed to be, he got outmatched. In this kind of situation, I have to take his attention with my bare fist, so Blight can beat him. First weapon is Bloodhound Fang. To be very honest with you, I can use this weapon and beat the entirety of the game, but I want to make this more interesting by using all the rewards to beat the bosses. Since I have the weapon now, I'm trying to beat as many accessible Evergaols as I can. Second Evergaol located in Weeping Peninsula with Zamor Knight inside. Third Evergaol in Liurnia occupied by Adan the Thief of Fire, and another one also in Liurnia with Balls the Carrier Knight. All of them are pretty easy to beat and they drop the following items. Radagon Scar Seal, a lesser version of Radagon Sword Seal that gives you 3 points on certain attributes. Flame of the Fell God, basically a slow homing fireball that inflicts overtime damage upon explosion. And the greatblade Phalanx. A superior version of Greenblade Phalanx, deals a lot of poise damage. We have acquired a bunch of useful stuffs, but there are some other accessible Evergaols at the moment, so I went to the one of the hardest, which is the Crucible Knight. This fight is harder than main bosses. I almost ever beat a shield Crucible Knight, and to fight him with a minimum weaponry at early stage, it baffles me. It took me 2 hours to finally notice a bit of opening for my sword to stab in. Crucible Knight is an input reading AI, so I have to maintain my range to catch my breath. But he's also aggressive, so I have to keep my eyes on stamina as well. I could land a single hit on heavy swings he did on the first phase, but on second phase, he's able to pull out the Crucible Tail as a follow-up attack. This is very tricky as it seems like I have no opening at all, but I'm able to land a light one on a single move when he thrusts his sword. I gotta do it fast before he summons the tail. I got the aspects of the Crucible Tail after defeating him, and I'm gonna use it for Margit. But before going for him, I bought Finger Seal as my incantation seal, and I have to use this for the rest of the game. Alright, so Margit. Perfect first boss to test my new toys. I'm gonna use the Crucible Tail. That was very slow on casting. It can be charged to do the second sweep, but it will take more time and usually I already got hit at the moment. Also, the range is surprisingly short, and the only time I can successfully pull it off is when Margit does the slow winded moves. And I can only do it one at a time. Damage was pretty okay, but maybe a bit underwhelming for a basic level 1 seal with 27 faith, but it's just my opinion. Second phase has the same opening as in first phase, nothing gives me any benefit with that hammer. The fight was a bit stretched because the chance of me getting hit was pretty high, but I did beat him after multiple tries. We're going for Godric right away, since I wasn't satisfied with Margit's fight. Same strats with Crucible Tail, but I believe this time it will be much easier than Margit. What I really like the most is Godric's slow recovery time. It grants me a safe spot to cast a Crucible Tail with enough time to move away. Stormcaller also allows me to charge the tail so I can deal 1 extra damage to him. It might seem easy, but I have to wait for my moment to attack, and most of the time, playing defensively is always the way when using a slow spell like this. Same matters on the second phase as well. There are only 2 openings for me. One is the Stormcaller, same as in first phase, and second one is the horizontal Fire Breath. But I have to be close enough or I won't have time to cast. In conclusion, this is a good fight. Slower than usual, but it's a satisfying fight. So I guess the next boss will give me a hard time, then it's time for me to stop being ignorant and gather some sources. Got my access to Mogwin, got meteorite staff for spells like greatblade phalanx, which I acquired a while ago, and also I have to use this staff for the rest of the game, same with the finger seal. Since I already made my way to Altus Plateau, I think it would be a good idea to defeat Godfroy as well. But it wasn't going smoothly. It's the easier version of Godric, but I got overwhelmed for no reason. I tried a bunch of various ways to beat him, but the only way I successfully beat him is by using Fireball combined with a Bloodhound Fang. Got the Godfrey's icon to boost charge spells. Can be useful for Meteorite or Crucible Tail, I would say. But that's probably the last talisman I could get, and not to mention, Radagon's Scar still gives me 10% more damage taken. Yikes. Anyway, I haven't properly done Ranni's quest in a very long time, and this run forced me to complete her quest. Actually, doesn't need to be forced, but one Evergaol is only accessible at the end of the quest, so I'm gonna start it by beating Loretta for now. I'm using similar equipment as her, going in with the Bloodhound Fang combined with the greatblade phalanx. Well, basically my current arsenal are like the superior version of hers, so the victory is already determined. Maybe hitting her with the phalanx is quite hard since she moves a lot, but she cannot do anything if it was in point blank range. So I'll keep my distance as close as I can. We now have access to that area behind the Carrier Manor. I talked to Ranni and started her quest, but right now let's clean up the available Evergaol in this area. The Alabaster Lord. That master gravity magic wasn't an issue after all. Some moves are unpredictable, but those weren't strong enough to kill me in one hit. Thank God. So I got this meteorite. Yes, that's the name of the spell, and if I remember correctly, this is the inferior version of Astel's meteorite. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and continue our journey to Caelid, everyone's favorite place to hang out. One Evergaol inhabited by battle mage Humongous. Now this is my time to test out my new meteorite spell. That didn't work like I expected. As I said before, this is a downgraded version of meteorite of Astel, but it still did a decent damage per hit. I think this will work fine for compatible enemies, but for now, I'll use my fireball again to destroy him and gut his spirit ashes. It's been a while since I used summons. This will be very helpful on future encounters. Because I have to go to Nokron for Ranni's mission, fighting Rodan is a must. I'll be using Bloodhound and Phalanx since other spells might not be efficient in guerrilla fight like this. The purpose of the Phalanx is to destroy his stance so I can repose, but in reality, dealing damage with my sword is actually more effective to finish the fight faster. I'm really bad at fighting Rodan on foot, so I will only land some damage when he does the multi-ground slams. I'm still casting the Phalanx occasionally, even though sometimes they can miss the shot when Rodan's still moving. Almost entering second phase, he starts using magic and it's a sign for me to be aware of the gravity pull. I'm aware of that sudden attack and my solution is to get off Torrent. Basically every time he does an action, I'll assume it's gonna be gravity pull next. Other than that, I can still swing once or twice on the multi-slam and sometimes slash him while riding Torrent if I get the chance. The road to Nokron is now open, and going through with everything underneath as fast as I can until I got the curse mark. However, to progress further down with Miniature Rani, I have to beat Astel, which is not the best moment as in currently, I don't have enough power to beat him. So I went back to Surface and going for Renala instead. I tried my best to match the timing with Meteorite, but it just didn't work against Red Wolf. He is too agile for stationary spells. But since I'm getting better at using melee weapon against him, the fight shouldn't be a huge problem. I still want to kill him with the meteorite, so I use it for the final blow. Now the reason I have to beat Renala is because Rani's quest requires us to open the chest in this specific room, which can only be accessible after beating her. We'll jump in the second phase right away because, you know, it's a real deal. But it's not really a challenge in any way since the bloodhound fang deals quite good damage and phalanx might be a bit useful if they flinch her upon hit, but otherwise they deal some good damage as well. Dodging summons by running away is working well this time, and the fight ended pretty quick. I haven't properly utilized Meteorite as my main damage dealer, so I'll give another attempt with the Tree Sentinel. His aggressive behavior wasn't compatible with the spell apparently, and also I tried using other spells as well, but it seems like Bloodhound Fang is the best one for this guy. Unless, if I call Hugus to help me. Apparently the situation can be changed. The Meteorite actually has a single line of attack that's able to hit the target, and if he keeps his attention to Hugus, the Meteorite can land multiple hits and even flinch him after hit. If I had the hidden tier, this might end the fight very quick, but I need to replenish my FP and give Hugus some room to attack before starting to cast a Meteorite again. However, the longer the range to reach the Tree Sentinel, the less accuracy the spell has, so I have to keep my distance with him. Adding a bit of diversity since I haven't fought a single main boss with Fireball. So, one thing I noticed, Godfrey also an input reader kinda boss. He will start taking action when the Fireball appears, not when I start casting. This helps me a lot since this version of Godfrey is less aggressive and I can make some distance before I start casting the red ball. I didn't use the opening this time. Rather than just stay as far as I can, then pull them balls out of my pocket and wait until they explode, and enjoy the juicy yellow light on his health bar. This works really well, however at the end of the fight, Godfrey slowly becomes smarter. He used jump attack instead when I cast the fire. He basically learned how to dodge those balls. So I have to use my sword for the final hit because I ran out of flash. Oh my god, it's Morgoth again. Not the worst Morgoth fight I've ever had, but not the best either. I have to use the Bloodhound this time because other spells didn't work as intended. So maybe you guys know already, there are a bunch of openings on his first phase. Spear throw, side sweep, and most of his hammer attacks. Greatblade Phalanx also come into play to break his poise, but I couldn't randomly cast or he'll use any range attack or charge towards me. I'm using a very careful approach on him and stay defensive all the time. I realize the side effects of Radigan Scarseal hits more when fighting mid-game to late-game bosses, so I need to avoid getting hit at all. First phase was still manageable as long as I keep using light attack and the phalanx on the right timing, one hit at a time. Entering second phase. I cast one fireball for the overtime damage that is quite insignificant, but I'll switch back right away to sword and phalanx again. Now this part might be easier in some way since I'm gonna use the blood sword opening and probably blood flame as well if I get the chance. If I have to finesse him sometimes, it deals good damage with a bit of jumping backwards to give him more distance. This last fight was kinda lucky to me because I just realized there is this one move that is very difficult to dodge and somehow it didn't kill me this time. But thanks to that, I can continue to fight with ease. Next part of the game is drastically increased in difficulty, so I'll have to power up before playing with the snow. The 9th Evergaol, where I need to fight the Roundtable Knight Vyke. Probably the second hardest Evergaol boss in the game in my opinion. He's really giving me a hard time even though he looks so fragile and easy to damage. But I'll be honest, I suck so bad at PvP. That's why fighting NPC is one of the hardest time for me. But I caught him lacking with the phalanx somehow. Alright, so we finally got his armor set and also a new incantation, Vyke's dragonbolt. Or Spartan's dragonbolt because it's mine now, which buffed the equipped weapon with lightning damage. It's just a buff spell, but I'll use it for Fire Giant. A single hit from Fire Giant means death right away. But if I did this correctly, I can cut a bunch of his HP on first phase. With raw damage, I'm gonna keep hitting his leg until I break that splint or whatever you wanna call it. And then, with a good heavy attack, it should break his stance and I can land some more after that. Now, it's time to get the lightning buff and keep attacking his leg again. At some point, I could break his stance once more, but sometimes it doesn't happen because I got the bleed and it skips to second phase in a short time. His weakness moved to his hands, but I was being very cautious after a couple deaths before, so I'm going for his leg instead. It's just under his crotch right now. I'll keep this the same as usual. Going in, go for his crotch, he rolls back away. As long as he doesn't pull the fire breath, this will end in no time. Actually, I try to sneak on his hands when he slams the ground sometimes. Well, the fight wasn't as smooth as I think it would be, but I won't complain over a W at the end of the day. Speaking about W, it was taken away by Astel in an instant. Yeah, I only fought this guy like 3 times probably, so I never get used to his movesets. Especially right now, I'm gonna be dead in one hit, so how do I suppose to avoid that multiple gravity slams? Battlematch Hugas comes to the rescue. So, my only resolve in this fight is to maintain my distance so I can avoid both the gravity slams and the grab attack from behind. I'm using the phalanx to break his poise since getting close might be very risky. Hugas got killed mostly on my previous attempts, so I have to make sure every hit from the phalanx counts, so I can save Hugas for second phase. It's the end of Ranni's quest. I make sure to get done all the necessary things. It's been a while since the last time I had Ranni's ending, but now, let's get to the real shit. The final Evergaol, Alecto the Black Knife Ringleader. This is the hardest Evergaol boss for me. I'll say it on par with the Crucible Knight, but slightly harder than Vyke. I was having trouble deciding on what's the best method to kill her, but after a bunch of time spent on her, I got used to her moveset. Using sword and the phalanx is the best strats this time. I would say Crucible Knight is harder on the opening aspect since Alecto can be flinched by most hits from the bloodhound fang. This guy has a lot more HP than regular Black Knife, so of course the fight took a good minute. With Alecto defeated, I finally got her daughter Spirit Ashes, which is one of the best out there, Tish. A perfect reward for our next main boss, Foreskin Idiots. Sorry if I'm being rude right now, but these guys took me hours to get through, and even after using summons, I still couldn't make it. I think I've lost my touch. I tried using combinations of spells, but I think the one that worked better is the greatblade phalanx, combined with my sword of course. The Noble's moveset are pretty easy to read, but I have to kill him fast before the skinny kills my Tish. There are a few attempts of me trying to kill the Apostle first because he's a bigger threat to Tish, but it's too hard. I decided to target the Noble and kill him as fast as I can before ganging up on the Apostle. Tish is dead. But this time, we took the majority of their health, so I'll take care of everything from this point. I fought Malekith with aggressive approach most of the time, so I think I want to change it a little bit and play as a defensive, introvert, shy, cheese-relying guy this time. I don't even know what that means, but I'll solely rely on the greatblade phalanx to stagger him and only use the sword for riposting. But it took too long, so I'm attacking him when I get a chance. Especially when he does any bestial incantations. If I was close enough, always pull the counter attack. If phalanx doesn't hit his head directly as intended, that costs to take more to break the stance. Second phase, I brought back the Crucible Tail alongside with its small damage. Openings I'm using this time is the Destined Death and the Quick Flip. Destined Death for the Crucible Tail and Quick Flip for a single light attack. As long as I can dodge all of his moves, having more time to slowly kill him is not an issue. Let's end this fight quickly. So, let me try using Hugas again to distract Gideon while I'm using the fireball to blow him out. Apparently Hugas has slow reflexes and not too aware with his surroundings, so I'm replacing him with Tish. Since I'm barely using Vyke's lightning, I think it's fair to solely using that one on Godfrey, talking about pure strength and lightning I guess. If you think I could pull the same strats as Golden Godfrey, you're wrong. The man himself has keen eyes and he could catch me off guard. Pulling Fireball is very risky, thinking because he's a bit more aggressive than the other version in my opinion. So I'm gonna play it safe by using the opening only when he slams the eggs to the ground. I can land 2 hits from that move with a follow-up. He might have other openings, but I was too scared to sneak in, so I let them be most of the time. For our look on second phase, how do I say this? I basically went for his ass whenever he tried to grab me, but there is one specific move that he does sometimes, but this time, he's doing it a lot. The jump slam. Not the Fisher one, but this one. Yes, apparently my recovery time after slash is fast enough to sprint away before he can take any action. Also, I recast my lightning whenever he fissured the ground, just in case you're wondering. The fight was surprisingly fast and I didn't find any issue fighting Godfrey. However, there are a lot of issues when fighting Radagon. I have lost my touch, for real. I know Radagon is weak to fire, so I thought that using Fireball would be a good idea, but I couldn't find a safe spot to cast a spell. It's very slow, and the worst part is, the Fireball itself blocking my vision. I couldn't even see what he's about to do because of that big ass ball. So I think it's fair to use raw damage this time. In fact, I almost never use my bloodhound fang solely for main boss. Usually it combined with spells. Radagon wasn't that hard. Almost every move are pretty exposed, especially the one without follow-ups. Also, any hammer moves involving golden enchantment is a big opening for me. Charge heavy can be utilized on those chances, and that result in poise breaking situation a few times. I beat Radagon a few times. Why? Because I keep dying on Elden Beast. I used Tage because I thought I can beat it pretty fast, but dang man, I always made some oopsies. Yeah, so I used Tage and Vyke's dragonbolt on him, just so I could maximize my damage and kill him fast enough before he pulled the Elden Stars. But it never happened. I just realized apparently I rely on RNG when fighting Elden Beast, because sometimes he's only using mana attacks, which is very beneficial for me, but other time he can do the golden wave more than once. Tage really helped me a lot this time by distracting the beast while I'm slashing him multiple times. This is the longest boss fight I think, but we did it. This is my stats after beating Elden Beast. I feel like investing in intelligence wasn't a great idea since I'm only using phalanx most of the time. You remember I said there are only 10 Evergaols in the game, right? There are actually 11. The last one located in consecrated snowfield, which that means we have to get both medallions by killing Niall. Brought back his phalanx so I can easily stagger his knights, but they seem to get flinched by regular light attacks, so it's easier than I expected. As you guys know, Niall doesn't really have that many movesets, and phalanx with jump attacks destroy his stance quite frequently. Openings can be vary, but I like his slow attacks the most. Got both medallions, and we enter the last Evergaol in Ordina. There is no boss in this Evergaol, only 4 towers to light, a few annoying archers, and some invincible black knife. Very unique. It's done, but we're already here, so why not go for Millennia instead? This is the last time I'm gonna use summon, so I'm gonna let Hugus get the spotlight here. Since the meteorite worked really well against the tree sentinel, I thought I may get the same result with Loretta as well. It didn't work that well this time. Hugus has low poise health and he got staggered most of the time, and he got killed. After his death, I'm gonna be fully using the sword. There is no chance for me to pull those meteorites anymore. Here comes Millennia. I'll be honest with you guys, no spells can be more useful than the dragonbolt on her. Also, going in naked to skinny dip with the rod. I saw how fast the light attack from Bloodhound Fang, so because this is the last fight, I thought I would be a bit daring to initiate her aggressiveness by hitting her while she is idling. Usually it's a risky move and I'll get hit right away. Not only that, I also utilizing charge heavy attack when she does either the rapid slash with a slow final blow or the slam to the ground move. Sometimes I use a jump attack when she does that as well. Now, Waterfowl Dance is also a good opening, believe it or not. I thought I could rely on bleed, but it only happened once. Second phase, right after Scarlet Aeonia, cast one fireball, then recast the lightning. This time, I did a lot not because of the Waterfowl Dance or anything, but it's a bit hard for me to pivot from the Scarlet Explosion. Dodging them is easy, but it's also my opening, so I have to move quick to be able to attack. I can only land sprint heavy this time since most of her slow winded moves can trigger a sudden follow-ups that is quite annoying to deal with. So there we go, 11 Evergaols with 10 rewards. What do you guys think? Let me know if you can improve those items. Special thanks to channel members, love you guys. And also don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I stream on YouTube, so if you're interested, you can stop by whenever you want. Alright, that's it from me, bye.